What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Explain It with my co-host Ingrid Hernandez and myself. My name is Caroline. We're excited for today. We have Jason Lombardi coming on with us. We'll pull him up here in a second, but we want to say hi. So glad to see all you guys. Glad the comments are back on. We're excited to chat with you guys and answer your questions.
Yeah.
Ingrid, what have you been up to?
Oh my goodness. So first of all, I turned 41.
Oh yeah.
I know. I
had your
don't
birthday
look
party.
a day over 21, but I know. I'm just kidding. So then thank you to you and to May. This is one of my favorite gifts for my birthday. Look at this. As you all know, I'm doing 75 hard. So drinking
All your water.
40 ounces of water is so much easier this way.
Hey,
So-
life hack is because the bottom of it now fits in our cup holder in our car.
This is true. Yes. And then one of the things I did was say, hey, I want to be your buyer. That was like my birthday wish. I wish to be your buyer. And as a result of being your buyer, I will help you underwrite deals and see whether or not a deal is a deal or questions to think through. So we've had some opportunities. And I'm just waiting for sellers to kind of come back and tell us yes or no. And so I'm hoping today that we can kind of talk a little bit about seller psychology and how you change the narrative a little bit when you're talking to a seller, depending on whether they're a seller with a lot of pain or a seller with a lot of gain. And I actually have a deal or a potential deal to talk through that when I'm thinking about how do I structure a deal in an enticing way, especially when you have a seller that has gain to do. I think pain is a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
I think gain is harder because you really have to figure out what's going to help them say yes. So I'm super excited. Is Jason going to be on today?
I just saw he was in the background there, so I said, we lost your video, so I think he's going to come right back in. He has some technical difficulties sometimes with cameras, so it's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
Okay.
Well,
and how about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, we went to your birthday party, surprise party.
Yes.
It
was
hibachi,
a surprise.
so that was fun.
I think it's teppanyaki. It's called
Is it?
hibachi.
I don't know. Either way, Japanese. It was delicious. They cook in front of you. You know, the egg roll and all that stuff.
Throw shrimp at you.
Throw shrimp. Yeah, catch the shrimp in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I were just talking right before this this podcast, and we were just kind of talking about different sellers. So I completely agree with you. When you have people that have pain, you're able to help them because they're motivated. Like, I'm going to sell my house or I'm going to lose it. Or I need you because I can't afford to fix this hole in my roof. And I don't want my family to be breathing in like black mold.
Yeah. Their problems are mostly solved. They're easier to point out and solve. When there's a gain involved, you kind of have to really dig into that psychology of what is going to help. And then you have to know a few things, right? Like installment sales on creative finance are actually better for their tax strategy. So you have to kind of speak in a way that they understand what that looks like. Obviously, I'm not a CPA. I always say, hey, meet with your CPA, but this is my understanding. Like when you do an installment sale, AKA a seller finance sale, or AKA a sub 2/hybrid, that you could have a better situation with your taxes. This is weird. It says can't post comments to some destinations.
I think it's my Facebook. So they can't go from Facebook to YouTube to share the comments.
So come to YouTube.
Yeah, watch us on YouTube so we can see your questions that you're asking. Tanisha Epps is on here. She said, hi. People.
Rihanna. So Rihanna, maybe if we can squeeze some time in, we'll have her on because she's one of the gals who brought me a lead.
Ooh.
And you know what's funny about that lead? I knew the seller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a wholesaler. And so he's an investor / agent. He's mostly an agent now. But when I was like, hey, wait, I know this guy. And then I put his phone on my phone and his name came up with / wholesaler. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so when I called him, he's like, oh, I know why you're calling me, Ingrid. And I was like, I knew you would know why I was calling you. So, yeah.
Well, while I see Jason's trying to get his computer to work in the background. We'll bring him up. I really do want to talk about Jason Lombardi. I know a lot of you got to see him again today on the Daily Dial, which is a Zoom I run inside of our community where we help people understand how to talk to sellers. And one of the big things I like about Jason, he talks a lot about seller psychology and how to kind of get through the BS and get straight to the point.
Yeah.
But I guess we could take some questions in the meantime because I see a good one right over here by Kaylin. I think you might be able to answer this talking about the wrap you have. And Buckeye, actually, before we answer questions, what deals are you trying to sell right now? Just so people know.
So the one that we have under contract, and we're actually supposed to close on it this week, is a property in Buckeye. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1863 square feet. And it's not meant to be a cash flowing rental. So we are marketing it to folks who have a harder time getting traditional lending. So if you're somebody who is a wholesaler and you don't have a traditional job that gives you your W-2, this is a great way to buy a house because we would be selling it to you creatively. So yeah, 4-bedroom, 2-bath out in no pool, but a super cute house.
I saw your content you guys are making.
Yep. Built in 06, has a brand new AC, just needs a good cleaning. And then what we're doing is, we're just starting to market it. So if you know anyone, we can give you a buyer's fee. So if you have a finder's fee is what that's for. But if you have a buyer, we would love to talk to them. I am working on another one that's in Casa Grande. Slow me down.
Well, I'm just going to ask you, do you need to have good credit? Do you need to show your tax records? Do you need to, have a down payment at all? What are the things that you need to qualify to buy this house? Because some people, might not be able to do all that.
So when you do wraps, you become a bank. And because of all the stuff that happened in 2008, there's some Dodd-Frank regulations that we are going to abide by.
Okay.
So what does that mean? That means we're going to ask a buyer to go through a residential mortgage licensed officer, an RMLO. And what they'll do is they'll qualify you. Now, we are not going to have the same requirements of a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, where they'll say, hey, you need to have taxes, all this. All we care about is verifiable income. So can you make enough money to make these monthly payments? And that's primarily what the RMLO is going to be qualifying you for. And that is what we would require from you. So I don't care if you have bad credit, if you've been through bankruptcy, all of that. What matters is, are you making enough income? And they'll review the last 6 months to say, yep, this person has steadily made enough income to pay this mortgage.
Cool. So you're giving people that don't have the opportunity to traditionally buy a house, have home ownership.
Correct. And for this one, we can negotiate down payment. We have some flexibility, but we are looking for $50,000 down payment plus closing costs.
Okay.
And then we ask that you be able to refinance in 9 years.
So not only do you need maybe like a penalty box buyer where you're not able to go get like qualified, it could even just be like an entrepreneur who doesn't have a W-2 with those tax records that say like, where people want to give them a loan. It could just be somebody who's wholesaling, making a ton of money or whatever it may be. And they're like, I just want to have home ownership. I don't want to keep paying to live. I want to have equity.
Correct. Instead of paying somebody like myself as a landlord, you would be paying for your own property and taking your own tax deductions that come along with it and all the benefits you get to enjoy as a homeowner.
That's awesome. Being the bank's the way to be. I know it's like one of your biggest goals in your career. So let's go through these questions. Jason did say that his camera's messing up, so we're going to wait for him to get on here. But I see Kaylin on here. Hi, Kaylin. Great question. She said, I have a question about sub 2. I have a seller who has high payments and I'm looking for tenants that can pay higher amounts if possible. So first things first, guys, I would say you need to figure out what the rent rate is in the area. So is the payment going to be less than what the market rent is? I actually have a really good video on my YouTube channel. If you go over under the live sections, it's how to find the rent rates in an area. I used to wholesale quite a bit, and it was based off of how things could be rented. So when you're looking for rent rates, I show you how to use Zillow to figure out like if this is priced well. And it kind of just goes off the days listed, first the contacts made, right in that price point. We can talk more about it. We could even underwrite it if you want to give me the details on it and just look. But I'd say for me, I know I personally don't want to take down anything unless it's doing at least $500 a month in cash flow just to give me some buffer. You are 300?
300 to 400.
300 to 400 is the lowest that she will go. So I would, I'm curious, Kaylin, this might
guys, I'm going to make Caroline go low because she's going to own property with me. So she's just, we'll get that sorted.
We were so we were talking about this again before the podcast started. I absolutely will. If there's a partner with me on a property, I'll go lower on it. I want to mitigate the risk. let's get started on things. Exactly. And talking about Tanisha, I went door knocking with somebody before this. I was door knocking earlier today, and I was just kind of telling them about how Airbnb has changed. It has to be more of an experience if you have
house.
Exactly. And they're like, well, I really want to get an Airbnb. And they're like, I don't really know about the Airbnb market. A successful wholesaler. I was like, midterm rentals might be the way to go. I know that you just turned one of your properties into a midterm rental that you were having a hard time moving or keeping occupied.
It wasn't that. I could not deal with
the
day-to-day management and like the heart attack stops I was having when somebody had a problem because
air conditioning's out.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Yeah, all of those things. And so it was such a problem for me that I was like, I can't handle being a hospitality person. It's not in it. I care too much.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not in the state that this property is in. So you'd have to have a lot of people, boots on the ground, a lot of support. So for me, I was like, forget this, man. I'm going midterm, and it's working out really well. I've made a couple of contacts with a few insurance people when they need to have properties. And then I just found out yesterday from my current tenants that they're like, hey, we're actually going to leave in the middle of March. They're supposed to stay through the end of August. Oh. And I was like, damn, okay, fine. But my lease, they said they would be month to month. And so my expectations are that, hey, if they're gonna
sorry, that was me.
If they're gonna stay through March, like if they're gonna have to pay through March because that's how our arrangement was made, even if they leave mid March. So
okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I was gonna put this up here just so we could get a few more people to see what we were up to. Okay. Well, that was helpful. Let's talk about the next question we have here.
Oh, look, Jason's working.
Oh, there we go. All right. We'll pull Jason up here after this question. So last one here before we get Jason on. Running into this scenario now where my seller is trying to move into his rental for 2 years so he can avoid capital gains. Told him about seller finance. He's semi-interested. Meeting Friday. Oh, okay. So not a question. Well, congratulations, Gustavo. I hope that works out.
Yeah, I would say there is a contact here in Arizona, and I think the firm is based out of New York. I don't recall. There's a guy named Brandon Hughes, and he helps with like 1031 exchanges on installment sales. Okay. So that might be a really great contact for you, Gustavo. If taxes are a reason that's guiding this seller to making his decisions. So, yeah.
Oh, and Adriana came on here especially to ask you about the rate and term. We were talking about that yesterday in a Zoom when there's a hard money loan. So we cannot forget that. Adriana, thank you for asking that.
Okay.
Well, now
without further ado, the camera is now working.
Let's talk to the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Lombardi out of Sarasota, Florida. What's up, dog?
Hi, Ingrid and Caroline. How are you?
Beard right. Nice and groomed.
Sorry about the camera. I don't know what's going on.
No sweat. Good to see you, Jason. What's going on, man? 2 times in one day.
Not much. Just looking for some contracts, the usual.
Looking for some contracts. Okay, so for everybody who does not know Jason Lombardi, he is a cash buyer. He is an Airbnb extraordinaire, and he is a wholesaler who you've been doing most of your stuff as wholesale, right, Jason?
Yeah, like 90% of it is wholesale.
Tell me some stuff, Jason.
Well, he's in Sarasota. He's south of Tampa in Florida.
I can sell you.
He'll sell you things now. Jason, just so you know, Jason, we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and this is our podcast that will be out. So this is not a private Zoom. Let's kind of watch our language a little bit on who we talk to. Jason's, no.
He's got potty mouth?
Yeah, sometimes he does. We don't want to get banned from YouTube, but I don't want to give away all of your secrets, but I know that you mainly focus on really distressed sellers. He focuses on niche. So, Jason, I'm going to let you explain for everybody who is your bread and butter, and you focus on like 7 different lead sources, or do you focus on one main lead source?
I do a lot of drug houses. That's like pretty much my bread and butter. I do regular houses too, like all the time, but like the bigger deals are always drug houses, it seems like. And but I do also
like people dealing drugs out of the house, or people that are like it's a squatter's house where there's a bunch of drug users that are in one house.
Both. Yeah, we do a lot of active drug houses. They're always pretty wild, and but it's
Is that Amelia?
yeah.
What's up? Get on, come here, Amelia. What's up?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
She doesn't want to be on
Yeah,
camera.
sorry, I'm like in my pajamas right now, or I would be on camera.
She's-
Hey, I didn't tell Jason this yet because I was just talking to Ingrid, but we're going to be coming to Tampa at the end of the month.
Awesome.
Oh, for Abramson?
We're going to Abraham's. We're going to Abraham's mastermind.
Yeah, dealmaker.live if anybody wants to join us.
I'll go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
come,
What are your
come.
details?
Yeah, I'll shoot it over to you. I'm actually getting in early, so we should hang out.
Oh, definitely, for sure. All right, I'm gonna go in.
All right.
Bye, guys.
I
Bye.
digress.
Perfect.
But I get all my leads from just other sources. Like I don't call them or anything. They're all referral leads, and they're usually from people that hang out in these kind of areas and these kind of houses. And so it's, you know, it's decent. It pays. You know, they're always huge deals, so it works.
I love it. So like you've really gone niche, and which is something that people I just don't think really
Especially
catch on to.
when you're brand new, you're like, let me go pull a list. I'm going to pull a list of pre-foreclosures, and you're getting a list of like a huge niche list, or not a niche list, excuse me. You're getting a very broad list. Yeah. And you're getting people that have somebody who can help them catch up their loans, and you're having people that really need to sell because they have nobody else they can depend on.
Right.
You're getting divorces, bankruptcies. You're focusing on just the really hot people that need cash, because I know we've talked about this. Your sellers, typically, you're in Florida, it's hot and humid. They don't have electricity.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of them. Like he did one where they didn't have electricity for like a year.
Wow.
2 years they didn't have electricity. Then when we took down the house, it cost almost $4,000 for FPL to run a line. It was like, because they kept doing it illegally, so FPL took the whole line out and everything. Like there was no way to get power. So it was good. Big, huge deal though. You know what I mean? So it's all good. And one of our best houses, our funnest meth house ever, just got listed the other day. So it was kind of like weird to see it turned around, you know?
So what makes these such big deals? Like why are the spreads so big for these types of houses?
And just so everybody knows, like, Jason, you just closed a check of $78,000.
Woo! We need like music.
I know, we need like a little
I
bell.
have that thing where
Sound
like,
effects.
Yeah,
so they're good spreads, and typically like the people that are in them, I usually get to know them pretty well, and usually they already know me like before I show up, and that's just my deal. Like if you want me to take this on and solve the problem, I got to get paid. And, But no realtor is going to go in these houses and do it, and you can't list them, you can't do any of that. Like these are. Like I can show you videos. I can't describe it. I could show you videos though, and you'll shit, you know.
Don't they require a very specific type of remediation though, especially if it's a known drug house?
If you don't disclose it, no.
Well, damn, Florida's got so in Arizona, if it's a known drug house, you have to have it remediated. Because,
what does remediated mean for everybody?
So what happens is obviously the folks who get high in that house or who create drugs to distribute, as a part of that experience, a lot of chemicals, trace chemicals are in the ground, in the wood, in the drywall. So imagine it gets remodeled and you have a young family there with babies or kids. Like if you don't actually remediate those materials that those chemicals touched, you're essentially also
like contaminating
that
like
family.
lead paint almost. You have to
like we re-sheetrock the whole house. Remediation is they run a bunch of fans in there for a week, so I don't know how that does anything. But honestly,
actually, what you just said is exact. So remediation is it's an analogous word, right? It does include replacing sheetrock. It does include sometimes replacing studs. It just depends.
Yeah, because I mean, we've had houses before where we had to do it, and they'll literally isolate it to like a room, and we're like, all right, yeah, whatever. But the last house we did, it was horrendous, you know. So we did the whole house and just everything.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, which essentially, in order to remodel these houses in the very first place, you have to bring them down to the studs anyway, because just how much work these properties need.
Right. And we did 2 years ago that wasn't too bad, maybe 30-40K rehab, but this last one is like more like 150K. But the house was like, we just listed it, I think, for 590.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a good spread on it. But I bought it for 320, I think. But I had like a 60K spread. I did 2 of them at the same time at Clever.
Mhm.
And I did one, I made 80 something, 84 grand. And that was a good one. And that one was it was wild, and it was just, sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it's a lot,
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I just did a crack house before Christmas. It was pretty simple. They're wild, but it was pretty simple. They just wanted to get paid.
Crack house,
Yeah,
just a little something.
A few pipes around. So I want to bring this up for everybody. Jason, do you have any VAs?
I do not.
So VAs are virtual assistants. Do you have a CRM that you're using?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's my notebook right here.
Okay, so I'm bringing this up for everybody who's brand new and you might be looking for your first deal or how do I get started. Jason is super niche. And we'll talk about how you find most of these leads and you go to gas stations if you want to share on all of that. But everybody in his market knows that Jason is the guy that can help you get out of this house when you're in this situation. Nobody messes with, like, none of the guys give you a hard time, or if they do, you've been able to handle it enough. And we'll talk about the seller psychology that you do a lot in the daily dial. He has one niche list. He has no virtual assistants calling deals or calling leads. And I should say prospects because they're not even leads till they've been qualified. And he's only focusing on that. He gets the hang of how to talk to them. And now I remember when you first joined Sub 2, we'd both been in a mentorship before and you were making right around 10 grand per deal and you got into Sub 2 and then you understand a little more about being empathetic and talking to people. And you've been like, if he makes a $10,000 assignment now, he's like, what the heck did I do wrong? I think your average, if you're talking about he had COVID and he did $84,000. He was sick with COVID and had a deal close. Your average assignment's over $50,000 now, and you're still closing on this downturn of the market, correct?
Right. Yeah, I did
a downturn.
I did, a lot. I've done a lot lately. I haven't done under 40K in a year and a half on deals.
Yeah, but you're super niche.
Right. And I do a lot of deals. I do maybe 30 deals a year, like tops.
I love that because it's really about quality over quantity.
And it's my favorite Ingrid quote. Narrow the focus, expand the reach. Get the hang of one thing at a time. Don't try and learn 6 languages at once. Focus on one. You understand how to look for these houses now. One of my other favorite things that you've talked about is you will actually door knock all of the neighbors. And you're the neighborhood cleanup guy. Everybody loves you because you deal with the problem house in the area. And they're like, call that guy with the hot rod. He's going to solve our problem.
Right. And that hot rod has made me more money because everyone knows who I am when I show up. They already know. It's the introduction,
You have it wrapped or anything like with Lombardi results or something?
The Lombardi trophy's in town. We're going to buy this house and clean it up. Hey.
It's like, hey, the guns are in. Like how, just kidding.
I'll show you so this is my marketing.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I think I can pull it up. Oh, sick.
I buy houses Venice, but my car's on it, so that when they see me, it's already.
Yeah, it's already a correlation between the two.
Yeah, and the car's cool too because it's so loud that people will come out. Like I don't really have to go knock on the door. They'll come out.
That's a way to do it. I don't knock on your door; you come to mine.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love it.
It makes it easy. But what I told Caroline about it. But one of the houses I was in, it was like the craziest one. My name was written on the table in Sharpie already before I got there. And then when I was there, I was like, that's my phone number. And they're like, oh, like you're that Jason. I said, yeah, that's me.
When you don't have paper.
Yeah, right.
That's hilarious. I love it. So share with us, Jason, if you can recall, like how long have you been doing this?
Wholesaling?
3 years?
Yeah, wholesaling and fixing and flipping.
I started buying properties in 2002, just like rental style off the MLS.
Mhm.
And I had a bunch of rentals, but they were in Massachusetts and people don't pay rent there. So it wasn't like working out. And so I just sold them. We moved to Florida. I moved to Florida to do real estate, and it took a while.
Mhm.
But my first wholesale deal was actually right behind my house during Hurricane Irma. The fence fell down, and my wife was like, "Hey, I'm not comfortable at the pool with those people out there or with the fence down." So I knocked on the door, and I was like, "I don't think anyone lives there." And Hurricane Irma, I think it was the end of September, and then we went over there at Halloween with the kids for Halloween, and there was no one that lived there. Long story short, it took me about 6 months to track them down. I didn't know anything then. It was hard for me to like track people. I didn't have any systems. But that guy, I went and bought his house, or I knocked on his door. A million people. It took me a while to find him, but when I did, I was like, "Yeah, you own this house," and he was like, "I don't think so. I think my mother left it to my brother." And I had the paperwork from the courthouse, and I was like, "It's you." And I was like, "Do you want to sell it?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And I was like, "How much do you want?" I only had 100 grand in my name at the time. And he was like, "I got to get at least 50, you know?" So I was like, 50 grand. I had a contract in the truck. I walked back and he was like, "I can't close because I owe $3,000 in back taxes." So I was like, seller psychology. Oh man, you shouldn't me. And then it was like, "How about I pay it?" And then he signed. So he signed on the spot. And that was my first deal. And I closed it because I didn't know how to wholesale. And I put it on Craigslist because I didn't know how to market. And my ad literally was the address, and I said, "The back door is open. Go inside, do your own inspection, and just text me." And I could, but it was in my backyard, so I could see people like going in and out. And then some dude just texted me and said, "Hey, there's a contract in the kitchen cabinet for 85 grand." I saw him come in and out. And I said, "Well, when there's one in there for 100 grand, you can take it." And I saw he put one in and he left, and I went and looked at it. He actually worked for Homevestors. I like Googled him, and he was legit. We closed at Starbucks, and that was it.
That's fantastic.
Dang. So you made 50 grand on your first drawer.
Yeah, it's in the first drawer on the kitchen.
Yeah. So that was like, soon as that happened, I was like, "This is for me. I don't want those. I don't want nothing but wholesale." And then I joined TTP, where I met Caroline, and we were in kind of at the same time at the end. And then Blair Bass, another great wholesaler, and we had fun with it. And Brent, at the time, what do we have? One call a week on Tuesday or something?
Yeah, one call a month.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And but I would text Brent all the time, like my link to my calls, and he'd be like, "You swear to you're like your sellers and stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, And but I don't think any of that matters as long as you have a motivated seller and you understand them. I think the rest is like irrelevant. You can show up doing whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Like people will ask me like, do you have someone go to your deals or your leads? And I said, no, I go to them all. No one's pumped when I show up, but like after they get to know me, they're like, "Oh, it's just some dude buying houses."
Yeah.
And like Caroline said, so a lot of my stuff is like, I'll go and door knock all the houses around the house and the houses behind it. Door knock them all, and I tell them, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," and everybody gives me all the information I need. Like literally, they're like, "Yeah, get rid of that house. That house sucks. You'll never be able to do it. They've lived there 30 years or whatever," and they just do it because the writing's on the wall for a lot of people. It's like, "Hey, this isn't going to last forever," and the sellers usually know that they've been overrun. Like meth heads run in crews. There's never like a single meth head, and they just overrun the house, and people get sick of that, get taken advantage of, and just got to cash them out.
Nice. So after that first one, did you typically start like driving for deals, and that's kind of how you found these problem houses and started talking to these sellers?
It took a while, and so one of them, the first one I got, I think, was through New Western. They said, "We have a house we can't sell. You can inspect it. Like there's no inspection. It's a meth house. Like it's take it or leave it." They wanted, I think, 190 or something like that. I don't want it. They came back, so I ended up buying it for 117, I think. And so I was like, for 117 for a house in Venice, and like I could see the house, And I door knocked it, but they just never ever answered. So I wasn't even sure someone lived there. And then when I did buy it, it was in a lot worse condition than I thought. It was hit or miss. Like some stuff was okay, some stuff was trashed, but it was a wood house, and then
Ooh.
it just turned into a shit.
So for everybody, just so you know, wood house in Florida is terrible. There's really bad termites, and then you have hurricanes and you have the rain. So the houses in Florida, when they deal with termites, they look like a circus. They throw a circus tent over it. I mean, what do you have to do? Completely demolish it and replace everything?
It was like a fun house. Like all the floors were crazy. Like you drop something, it'd like roll away. You know,
Yeah.
It was like so it wasn't bad. But I got into it. I flipped enough houses. You know that like when I was doing regular real estate, I'd flip houses, but they were on the MLS, so my spreads weren't huge. You'd be lucky to make 80 grand on a flip, like all in all. And I got into it for like a month, and I was like, no more. I just sold it like it was, and I sold it back to New Western, and they could do an inspection and do that, and they were like, yeah, it's not bad. Like we did do a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't make much, and then but those people. So that was the house where it started. That was a meth house, but they weren't bad. They were like pretty cool. They didn't want to be bothered. They weren't wild. They weren't crazy. But there was a house down the street. And so when we were flipping it, we would take everything outside and put it on the curb, and we'd come out and it'd be gone. And we're like, who's stealing our trash? And then, so anyway, so this guy started, so I caught the guy, well, I saw the guy stealing the trash, and I was like, hey, bro, like, you can just come in the house and take it direct. Like, you can do like whatever you want, you know? And so he was cool. And then I followed him home. And like Caroline said, I drove by the house at like 10 at night. And all I saw was like, it looked like doozers from Fraggle Rock. Like everyone had like headlamps on and phone lights. And, but this was in August, no AC. And it was hot. And that house turned into a real nightmare. But they were just shitty or terrible to me, and we had a lot of trouble with them. Murders, mayhem. That was my first murder house. Well, actually, that was my second at that time, and so it just turned like bad at the end. But I was gonna flip that, and right before I did it, it's a long story, but something really bad happened there, and I was just like, just let it go. And but I bought that house for 85 grand, and
in Venice.
And that was the house that I put down the 85 grand as an EMD. He was worried I wasn't going to.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this. Just so everybody understands, like, because I'm sure not everybody knows the Florida markets. What is the median price range for a house selling in your area right now?
Probably around 500.
500. So just so you guys know how steep Jason is getting these locked up. But now remember, these are meth houses. These are like some of your worst houses. He's getting them locked up at pennies on the dollar for what they're worth when they're fixed up.
Right. And so that one, like I said, I got rid of it, but that was the 85 EMD. 85K is the EMD, which is kind of I don't know if anyone else does that, but that was that. And that one led to the next one. Those people, there was a lot that happened there. Like we got arrested in there, and there was a ton of like nonsense that happened there. And but they kind of led me to the next one. And then it's like when you close down a meth house, all those people got to go somewhere. You just follow them to the next house. And then
rat infestation. Where are they going?
Yeah, like and they're like cool people. They're just people like us that just like for a year or two are off the wagon and they're out of control. And meth is different than crack. Like crack people will like climb a church and throw a baby off. Like meth heads have more like remorse, and they kind of know that they're blowing it, and that type of thing. Like you can sort of empathize with them, if that, I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, they're still human.
But it led to another house, and so this was a funny house. So I found this house. A guy, you know, we live in Venice. There's no murders or nothing. Someone had been killed in Venice, like around the corner, and he walked outside, died. And so I called the owner. She lived in California, and I was like, "Yeah, hey, did you know someone like died in your house?" And she was like, "He didn't die in my house. He died on the lawn." And I said, "But he died in your property, you know?" And she was like, "Nope," you know. So she fought with me. I have pictures of the house. Like when we bought it, it was a murder scene, and it was like it's weird, you know. But so we bought that. I wasn't interested in it. Wholesaled it, and then it just kept going.
That's incredible.
And I'm kind of running out of them. Like they're here and there, but
Yeah.
You
now
cleaned up the hood.
You've gotten rid of the
Yeah,
infestation.
yeah. So-
like Caroline was saying, like people love you when you do that. It's unbelievable how nice people are.
Uh-huh.
And that one meth house, the one where the guy killed the girl, like the lady across the street sold me her house, seller finance.
Yeah.
She called me, like she called me off my card. And you know, I looked her in the eye, and her name was Mary. And I said, Mary, if you ever need anything, like you're across the street, you're like 80 years old, I got you, you know. And
So
she
shout
told
out
me,
to Brent Daniels and what we've learned. When you really talk to people and you talk to the neighbors, you got a seller finance opportunity from the elderly woman across the street because you fixed up the house
yeah,
causing her problems.
I
So
mean, you're literally there. So why
Why
not
not?
take advantage of the doors that surround the
Right.
problem you're solving? Yeah.
And
So-
you know, when I got to your house, something was happening across the street. I heard a loud phone call, arguments, and of course I was eavesdropping. What's happening? All of the nosy neighbors want to know what's going on, so you fixed our problem. Oh my gosh, you're my savior. I'll work with you. So that's awesome.
By the way, I live in a nice neighborhood. The
No,
lady
yeah,
across
no,
the
it's-
street
it really
always
is.
has problems on the phone.
like if
Teenagers.
you ever come to my spot, all my houses are on the same street because I collected them all. And so like 2 months later, the guy next to me in the pool house, next to the meth house, he called me and wanted to sell. He called me, and the house was probably worth like $440 at the time. He called. I never met the guy, never seen him, don't know who he is. He called me, hey, did you do the house next door? I said, yeah. First thing I want to do is thank you. Second thing I want to do is sell my house. And I said, okay, well, what are you thinking? He said, some guy called up and offered me $180 for my house. And you know, I need to sell it for more than that. Can you buy it for more? And so I'm like kind of mad dogging the guy. I'm like, he offered you 180? Like, what kind of person does that, you know? And then, so he was like, I need more than 180. And I was like, well, how much do you want? And he was like, just more than 180. So I was like, 181, you know? And he was like, no. And I said, 190?
No.
Like, I'll do it for 190. And I was like, okay. Like I was like in disbelief. I'd never met the guy. I didn't know him, you know? And so this is kind of funny too. So I tell the dude, hey, do you have email? Yeah, here's my email. I send him a DocuSign. I call him, hey, you sign this thing or what? He's like, oh, I don't have a computer. And I'm like, well, what did you give me an email for, you know? And so I like was in disbelief that this deal was going to happen at 190. So I called, I think it was called Gilmington House of Pizza in New Hampshire. He was in New Hampshire. I talked to the delivery guy and I said, hey, listen, I need you to take this, go print it, and go have this guy sign it, and I'll give you $200. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. He went up there, went back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went back, went up there, had it signed, went back. He literally did it like immediately and faxed it to me. And that was it. I put it in, I threw in my memorandum, and we closed it.
Low key, like pizza delivery people are such a component of real estate. So
No.
I had a property in Florida, in fact, that
Yeah.
I wholesaled to Pace, in fact.
Yeah.
And we sent a pizza delivery guy. We paid for a pizza that we weren't going to eat. So we told them, just give the pizza to any person around that you think would benefit from getting that pizza. Take these pictures, we paid him, and that's the pictures we got back because we could not find boots on the ground, and the pizza delivery came through.
Pizza delivery.
So
Don't knock 'em.
good hack. It's a good hack.
So there's a kid named Kevin that delivers our pizza. I bought two houses off him last year, 2 or 3. And
From the pizza guy?
Yeah, because
I was like, Kevin, so think about this. Kevin, he shows up baked every time I see him. He's cool. He's like 20. And he shows up baked. I'm like, wow, you're partying without me, you know? And I said, where's all the trap houses? He's like, oh, there's one over here. There's one over here. There's one over here. And I said, like, honestly, like, I'm serious. Like, I'll pay you. I only pay everyone $1,000 a lead. So if they give me a lead, I pay them cash. I don't just cash, no check, no BS. And so he showed me one, and we closed that in like, I don't know, a month or 2, but I bought 2 off of him. And he knows them all. My trash man, I bought a deal off of him. I tell him, hey, if there's a lot of trash, like there's a difference between trash and like people's clothes, their toothbrush, their phone charger. Like if you see like things that don't look like they're thrown away, take a picture of the trash, send me the address. And I bought one off of him, only one. But we've had a lot of close ones. And my mailman is like, he'll tell me anything. He doesn't care about anything. And my pool guy tells me a lot. My landscaper, I haven't bought any off of him, but he gives me addresses all the time. you can get them from anywhere. But
Yeah,
the
people
biggest,
do roofing. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You're just networking, guys. He's talking to everybody and asking them if they see any houses, and that's really where you're getting a majority of your meth houses from the other people that are doing drugs. He's giving them $1,000. Like, hey, let me show you where we're staying at now. Come follow me.
and I bought 3 off of one lady, and she just goes from house to house to house, and she's like the spy. She's ruthless, you know. And but this is how, like, a lot, you know, if you're getting into this, we have racetracks in Florida. It's like a gas station, but on the side they have like outlets and like free Wi-Fi and stuff. All our local meth heads go there and charge their phone, and they all ride bikes, so they're kind of easy to spot. And like I said, they don't like me, but we work together. And I don't know, maybe they do like me, but we have fun with it. And I don't care about anything. I never get mad. I don't do that type of stuff. And I respect everyone. And it's like, you can smoke all the meth you want. I love it. Like, you're living your dreams. You know what I mean? If that was what I wanted to do, I would do it, you know, but I don't want to do that. But I'm glad that you get to do what you want. You know, it's not too bad hanging around riding a bike all day and having no responsibility. It's not too bad of a deal. You know?
And
Living for free in all these houses.
Hey, you're not far from the beach. Florida is not so bad.
yeah.
Well, the one I bought off the guy in prison, I told Caroline, this dude was in prison, and the same lady I was telling you about, she was the one that tipped me off to this house. That house is on the water.
Oh, I didn't know it was on the water.
And I took that one down because I had to.
Absolutely.
So it's my Airbnb, and then the lady that seller financed me, that house is an Airbnb. The pool house is an Airbnb. And it's like, anything I buy at 40-50%, I'll just buy it. And then
that makes 100% of it. I was just talking to Caroline. Well, not just, I continually tell Caroline, like, when I look at a deal, I'm always looking at it like, how do I keep it? You know, and Caroline, she's still of the mind, like, how do we wholesale it? Right. So we're working through this.
I mean, if it's a really good deal, I'll keep it, but I keep seeing stuff that's not the deals that I want to keep. It's off my hands.
So tell us, Jason, what markets do you specifically work?
I pretty much just stay right local.
Where is local again, just for everybody, one more time on here?
I live in Venice. That's my main market. Like, I'll go to Nokomis. We've done a lot in Tampa, and Tampa's wild too. But I'm not as connected in Tampa as down here. And we have Punta Gorda, which there's a lot of houses over there, Port Charlotte, Inglewood.
So Central Florida, West Florida.
Right. And I'll go anywhere, but I bought one in Orlando I never even went to see. But typically I like to stay local because I want the opportunity to buy them. And for us, as Caroline knows, we're super seasonal. So it's like, right now we're getting $311 a night. We just do it across the board. Every house is $311 a night. And they've been rented since like November, like every day. And they'll probably go till like March. April. And so it's not bad, you know.
Well, we have an Airbnb question. David Diaz, actually, I think this is my cousin, David Diaz. He asked, can you Airbnb a house with a community pool in Arizona? Actually, that's probably a question for us. And would it do well? So do you have any Airbnbs that don't have pools? How important is it in Florida?
Oh, yeah, you need a pool in Florida. I have them without pools. It doesn't matter. But I don't know why, because people always want a pool. And it's like so cold you can't swim. And they never complain about it being cold. So I know they don't even go in it.
Well, in Arizona, it actually is a difference maker when you have a heater. So I would say, yes, you could do an Airbnb in Arizona with a community pool instead of a dedicated pool. What?
As long as it has a heater?
No, what I was going to say is, like, don't expect it to perform as well, because I've been looking at a lot of our Facebook forums that have Airbnb folks here specifically for Arizona. And the ones that are making the difference are those with pool heaters, those with more of a designer look, right? Because we don't have the extra amenity of a beach like you do, Jason. So people will look for those things as difference makers when they choose a house here. Right. So if like you have a boring, ugly looking house, or not a boring, but like something that doesn't like really stand out.
This is a plain house with not an experience.
Maybe you have colorful bedspreads, but that's not going to make it. So yeah.
Our houses are awesome. Amelia did them all. They're awesome.
Yeah.
You've got, when we go to Tampa, because we're both staying till Monday, you've got to meet Amelia. Actually, my favorite thing whenever I talk about Jason and I, when we went to Vegas last year.
Maybe we should just stay with Jason that week.
I mean,
and we'll stay an extra week.
45 minutes south of where we're going to be, but.
No, but if we stay.
Oh, yeah, the extra?
We'll talk. We'll
talk,
Jason.
after.
Maybe we'll stay an extra week in Florida so long as we get to hang out with you.
You're
They're
have to
fun.
fight Kevin Cho. He's too.
What I'm saying is they're fun. It taught me how to play roulette.
Uh-huh.
But Amelia she is hot. She dresses really well. Like
Your wifey?
Yes. Oh my gosh, she is so cute. You need to see their pictures. They have their family photos.
Okay, I believe her. She's gay. You know that, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, of course. I
no,
believe
but
you.
And they're the nicest people. Guys, if you ever have the opportunity to meet Amelia and Jason, you need to partner with them.
Uh-huh.
The kindest souls. They took care of me in Vegas. It was my first time. Jason showed me around Vegas.
Well, Gemma, this is not a Zoom, but I do agree it's worth $1 million.
She loves pink. That's true.
She does love pink.
She wants to do an all pink Airbnb.
You should actually. I was, again, before this, I was door knocking with a big wholesaler here, and we were talking about Airbnbs. I know you're trying to get your camera on. Kent, who has his Airbnb up in Scottsdale, does really well because it's an experience, and he makes it for bachelorette parties.
Mm-hmm.
And those are doing better than the average cookie cutter ones that just have plain walls,
Mm-hmm.
plain settings. So yeah, do the pink house. Actually, there's a Airbnb here in Phoenix. It's called the Pink Cactus. Look it up. It's like rented out year long because it's like Instagram photo worthy. You should let Amelia do that.
Yeah, for sure. And what was really cool about Ken's house, because I'll give one of his nuggets away. We went there and it was super easy. He has like a wall with a like a stand. It's just basically a piece of wood.
A platform, yeah.
And then there's like 5 or 6 mirrors with lights. So, and then different places where you could do like your makeup and your hair. So imagine if you're all getting ready to go out, like you all have dedicated space to get ready. And I was like, that is so fantastic. And then one of the things that he mentioned is that like, because he's, first of all, because girls are cleaner, more or less, but like we tend to be a less rowdy crowd per se from a neighbor's perspective. So if you want a bunch of girls, or do you want a bunch of guys?
Frat bros,
Frat bros, or hot rod bros. So.
Well, I want to get to the rest of the questions, Jason. I know that you only had an hour of time because you had somewhere to be, so I want to be mindful.
I'm good. I don't have to do
every day. He tells me he has a window. He does a little extra for me. I'm like, I want to make sure I get him out of here on time. But I want to get to the questions because I told everybody to show up to ask you questions. You've been a hot commodity. Everybody wants to work with you and talk to you. Let's talk about seller psychology really quickly.
Yes.
I want to go through, you're always on. You've been doing the daily now for like 2 years with me now almost.
2 years, yeah.
We see a lot of new people coming in, asking questions, how to talk to sellers. And one of my favorite things that you bring to the forefront is knowing who you're talking to, identifying the seller. So could you give us some highlights? I know we've gone over like outlines when you talk to people. What is your opinion on seller psychology and how to talk to them?
So my first thing is to know who I'm talking to. Am I talking to?
Sorry, if this is going to be recording, pause this. If you don't have a pen and paper, take it out. What you write is what you invite. I mean, I'm so grateful you came on here today, Jason. I don't want anybody to miss this. These are going to be incredible notes. So listen to what Jason's saying and write it down.
Listen up.
Go ahead.
So first thing I do is I like to know who I'm talking to. First and foremost, is this guy the owner? Because I've called so many people that are tenants, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we own the house," and I'm like, try to make a deal with them, and it's like not even the owner. But so I want to know who I'm talking to. I want to know if they own the house, who's on deed. The first 2 questions. And like I tell everybody, if you talk to a guy that has 1 house, it's a lot different than a guy that owns 30 houses because the dynamic changes. When someone owns more houses than me, 30, 40 houses, I switch to they're the man, and I'm like using them for knowledge.
Young Padawan, teach me your ways. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so because I want lenders, I want advice, I want your painters, I want your carpenters, and I'm pretty free with that. Like Oscar just called me, hey, I need this in Florida. Yeah, sure, here's my guys. No big deal. But and there's so many powerhouse guys around in Florida. But anyway, so when you cold call, like you want to know who you're talking to first thing.
Okay.
First thing, and if you're talking to an 80-year-old lady, obviously you talk to her different than a 25-year-old kid that inherited the house. And but if we don't know they inherited it, or we don't know that they own 10 houses, or we don't know they're 19, it's hard to how do you pitch someone if you don't know like anything about them? And I see so many people go right into condition. And if you hear me cold call, I don't care. Conditions are relevant to me. And then when I give them a low offer, hey, I'm thinking 170 or whatever, then they go, well, why is it so low? And I go, well, your house needs everything. And then they start to sell me. No, it has a new roof. It has a new whatever. And so they start telling you the benefits of the house. And then that gives me a reason to go up a little to 180. And then.
So you're assuming the worst out of the house just when you call
Right. I don't ask about condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then
You own the house, got it.
And then so when I go in the house, I assume it needs everything. And then when I go in there and it has a decent, I don't know, bathroom or whatever, a decent garage, that's just a bonus. Because I'm already planning on spending $70K in this house or whatever the renovation is. And I need to know who's on deed. I give them a lot of credibility. Hey, this is what we're doing. Third-party stories, as everyone on Daily Dial knows. I have pretty much the same stories. Like if you have a divorce, you're in a divorce, I have a divorce story. I have a probate story. I have an old lady story. I have a grandkid story. Like as soon as you make like the 5 or 10 stories, you stick with them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like remember anything anymore.
Yeah.
You're just on autopilot. And
may I pause you for just a moment, Jason?
yeah.
One of the things that I did in the past to build that credibility, especially if you're a newer investor, I borrow stories. So if Jason and but I borrow stories from people who allow me to borrow stories. So if I do business with Jason and I have that camaraderie, we have that trust, partnership, right? My partner, Jason, when he dealt with this divorce, and then you tell it as well as you can, having been like, it's like a third, what is that, fourth party story?
Yeah.
Because you're not necessarily involved. But sorry, please go on.
And so I do a lot of credibility, a lot of third party. I love painting the picture at the end because I take notes still to this day on every call. And when I wrap it up at the end and I paint the picture, it's like if they're not ready to sell, then they're not going to sell. And as Caroline knows, I don't do follow up. If you want to sell me your house, sell me your house. If you don't, then good luck. And everyone gives me a hard time. Like here and there, I'll call back if I think there's something to it, or if they're in probate or whatever. And I lock up everything before I go look at it. I'm not going to even drive to your house unless you're serious. And that's the way I do it. I don't know, like, I don't really work with anyone else. I'm not sure how everyone does it. I see in the group and everyone wants to know what's the comps, what's this, what's that. I don't care about that. I know what I can sell it for. And typically I sell the deal right away. Like I don't even screw around with it. I just sell it. I have my buyers put in the EMD. I don't put any EMDs. If I have to, I will. But if typically they put in the EMD. And if you have always good deals, if I'm making 80 grand on a deal, how good is the deal? It's a good deal, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's easy for me to knock off 10K and make it an even better deal.
Yeah.
And
definitely hot girl status, by the way. I always teach be the hot girl, and you're like, look, either you're gonna sell it to me or not.
But here's the other thing you got to keep in mind for everybody that's new and you're watching us or listening to it again. Jason's not focusing on 7 markets. You're staying in your neighborhood. You own everything on one street. You don't even comp anything anymore because you know your market.
So well. That's the experience.
That's and I mean, and you're narrowing the focus and expanding the reach. When I first got started, I was like, okay, I need my first market and my secondary market. And I didn't know how to comp. I didn't have any buyers anywhere. Like, especially when you're new, try and find, like, if you're in the Florida market, you need to reach out to Jason. I'll throw his Instagram on here for everybody, just so you know. It's every day I'm HUD still in, which is really good. I'm trying to get him to use it some more. But guys, find somebody who knows what they're doing and then just bring things. Jason will look at it, deal, no deal. We get to a point now, we know if the numbers work just by what you tell us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And keep in mind, Venice has 14,000 houses. My market's not, 100,000 houses. And I'll be busy here for the rest of my life. And it's like, you don't need a big market. Like, you really don't. If you're in your market and it's like, so now in my market, people bring me deals. Hey, I know you can sell this. I know you can do this. So I get a lot of $1,000, $3,000 referrals. Hey, can you convert this lady? Hey, I'm scared to knock this door. We do evictions. I don't do them. I send people to do them. They're not cops, but they get it done, and people will pay for that. And right now in this environment, squatters are like ballsy, and we don't play that. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you can find someone that can solve that problem, people will pay you.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of avenues. Like everyone's like, all these drug houses, and it's like, if you work the system for your benefit, it's just like anything else. You know what I mean? You just get better and better at it, and you always have a lot of people that will work for you. You always have people that will work literally 24, 36 hours straight. And you need a clean out, they'll clean that thing out in one rip. They ain't coming back tomorrow. They'll do it in 40 hours straight, never mind over 5 days. And so it's an awesome market, and it's such a small market that everyone knows me. And everywhere I go, when I go to Home Depot, everyone, oh, you're the dude that buys the houses. I saw your car out front. And so it's kind of easy. Like when my kids played baseball, stuff like that, I would put you rent like space or whatever, put like a Revenue Empire banner, and people know what you're doing. And it's a small town.
Yeah,
Absolutely. He's got people. Your reputation precedes you.
Mhm.
Right. And people get shit about my cars being so loud. Everyone hates it. And so, it breaks the ice with everyone, because like all these old ladies like, oh, I hate that car, it's so loud, and I'm like, no, you got it all wrong. This car is awesome. You know what I mean? And like, I want to take you for a ride. Like, I'm not getting in it. Like, listen, Grandma, I'll pick you up, put you inside, I'll let you drive, and it's like and all the old people, everyone's old in Venice, they all have some story. Oh, my dad had the same car. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you, whatever.
When it was newly manufactured. Yeah.
I I pick a car that goes to the people that I'm going to around their age range. I have like a low rider, it bounces younger kids. I have a sled that's just insane, and then I have hot rods. I have fast cars, slow cars, whatever. But all of it's marketing.
Yeah.
And if I had a Lamborghini, that would help, right? But so it's just marketing. And it's but if you do it in your market, it's so easy to dominate a small market, because who's doing it? Like, who's coming to Venice, Florida to wholesale? Like, who?
Nobody. No, nobody. You've cornered
Right,
the market.
You own it.
I mean, there's so many small cities all over Florida, all over everywhere. And if you've got 20,000 houses, I mean, how long is it going to take you to do that? And so I've wholesaled houses. They've been flipped. They're already banged up. And I just bought one again that I wholesaled 2 years ago. And, I'll make the same amount on it again, hopefully.
Just keep going, because you know the market. So I want to go through this. I wrote down what you said. So first, you make sure you know who you're talking to. Are you talking to an older woman? Are you talking to a younger kid? Who are you dealing with? You find out who's on the deed. Are they the person that's the decision maker? You really don't care about the condition. You're going to just assume the worst out of the house. You're going to let the seller sell you on the home.
Yep.
She can't read her own
Yeah, no,
writing.
this is what you do. You explain what you do. You give your third-party story. So you help with credibility as your credibility builder. You paint the picture on what it'll look like going through the process, being done, the next chapter of their life. And then you always lock up properties before you go and see them, just so you're not wasting time driving around all over Venice when you can just be trying to the motivated sellers. Typically
I do. And I show people my phone, hey, look, I have the money to buy your house right now. And that's powerful, because it's like, hey, you open it, you tell me, and you add it all up, and it's like easy for people that don't know anything about what they're doing, which is a lot of people. It's easy for them to trust you, especially if I've done, like, I can go anywhere in Venice and go, I did 2 deals over there, I did 1 here, I did, I'm waving to people the whole time. People are driving by beeping, and it just makes a small town, and it's kind of fun. You walk around, people love you, people hate you. It's exciting. And it's like, either way, I'll take the attention, because it's just going to make me more money.
So when, again, talking about psychology here and everything, when you're talking to sellers, perfect. Good question. Jason, do you have any recorded calls people could listen to?
I do. I think I do.
All right. So we'll figure out how we can get a hold of those.
Most of my stuff is in person.
Yeah. That was going to be my question.
I mean, I got a million videos. Like, I can show you. Just go on Sub 2 or go on my Facebook page or whatever.
What you need to do is you need to post on your Facebook page that house with all the cat poop. Jason bought a house, everywhere on the floor Not one square inch was not covered by cat food.
You've never seen nothing like this.
He said it smelled great. He loved that house. He actually didn't update it.
Right. And if you listen to that video, I don't even mention it. Not one time do I mention the cat shit.
Completely ignored it. Your videos are good. You need to keep recording and you need to keep posting those because they're incredible. So I'm gonna get to the questions at the bottom. I love that Sal's on here. Hello, Sal. Jason, when you talk numbers or when you talk to maybe like a difficult seller, are you mirroring and matching them? Are you staying at the same level as them, or are you trying to calm them down? Do you deal with tough sellers? Do you deal with little sweet grandmas? How do you deal with sellers?
I kind of get a read for them. I would say more. I mean, I've done a lot of 90% of my stuff is face to face. So it's like easy to figure people out when you do it a lot. And you can see what people need, just like looking around their house, how they hold themselves, what they're driving. There's so many indicators, but I'm very, very, very direct. I put out the offer. This is what I can pay. I don't care what you want to sell it for. I'm not interested. This is what I can pay. Because for me, I got to make money. If you can't come to my number, then what are we doing here? You know?
So you don't go the traditional route of I'm the first one to give the offer loses. You're direct. You're like, this is my number. I can help you. Piss or get off the pot.
Right. And because I feel like if someone says 300, now you're coming down from 300. Like if I give you 170, I'm edging up. I'm not coming down 130 grand. It's easy. You know, it's like, I know you want 300. Why am I going to ask you? What's the point? I know what your house is worth if it was finished.
Well, I gotta tell you that is a level of confidence. Like again, you're putting off big hot girl vibes, and so it's you know what it takes, and I love it because that is an approach that works a lot because
that's what happened with you with the sub 2 house.
Exactly, that's me too. I prefer way more being that person because I don't like playing poker. I don't like playing poker. Let's just get to it or let's get going. So for sure.
I mean, I have some people, and I'll have fun with people. Like I love it. Like I don't get mad. Like I just don't do that stuff. And it's like for me, and it's like, well, hey, I mean, do you want me to solve the problem? I have other shitty investors. If you want, I'll give you their phone number. You can play that game, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, you can. And everyone bitches. Oh, I'm getting calls. I'm getting this. I'm getting that. It's like, well, do you want to sell or not? You know, I'm here right now. I can buy the house, and I have a stack of HUDs that will. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing this. I'm not lying. I'm in the neighborhood. Everyone knows me. And but I feel like if you're dead confident in your offer, that's it. And I will budge. You know, I'm not going to move off my number at all. But we got to start somewhere.
So Jason, question for you from Sal: are you buying creative deals, or are you doing any creative deals? Excuse me, wholesaling them, or are you doing any buy and holds with creative?
Yeah, I do. I don't do a lot, and like with the daily dial, I'm shutting doors. Soon as cash doesn't work, then I'm going seller finance. If they don't own it outright, then I'm doing whatever sub 2. I have sub 2s. I have seller finance. We have Airbnbs. We have regular rentals. Like whatever. And keep in mind, this is all in my market. So you can do everything you need to do in any market. And
but you did buy the one house from the lady across the street from the one where people died. You bought that creatively seller finance.
Yep.
Are you, I know the answer to this, but just for everybody, are you mainly focusing on creative?
Right now, a little more.
Why?
No, I mean, I focus on cash first. That's first and foremost.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. So everybody, Jason's not using creative as a crutch. I say this is so important. You can get some built-in equity when you go for cash first. You're straight to the point, and then you're using creative as an option to help someone at the very end when cash does not work. But ideally, we'd all like to buy a house cash first, just to get in and get out when the numbers work. So I'd say that. And then I'm going to throw, just so everybody can see it here, I'm going to throw Jason's Instagram handle on the page so you guys can get that. Did you have a question?
No, I don't think so, other than sell me your creative deals.
Send us the stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah, but I'm going to try to buy more houses this year, but creatively. I don't really want to pay anything type thing. But and this is something I can kind of give you guys a tip on that I don't know anyone that does this. But when you go to wholesale to a flipper, you got to, whatever your fee is, 10, 30, 40 grand. If we're close, I always say, give me 10 grand on the backside. when you complete it, like after it's flipped. Almost everyone says yes, because they're not like looking that far down the road, and they want the deal now, and that's my terms. Like, well, if you want to buy it, I mean, give me $30K now, but give me $10K on the backside, and we use my title company, so I know I'm going to get a check, and I use my title company for everything. I'm trying to buy it, but it's been like a long negotiation, and but I feel like that's like you get 10 grand here and there. You like forget about the house, and then you just get a check, and you're like, oh, cool, 10 grand, and so people don't think about that. And I've finance fees. I've financed.
Talk about the one where you got a percentage at the end of it.
I've done that too. Like sometimes you can get a percentage at the end of the deal. Like I had one that I had for 160, and it was just like weird timing, and I couldn't sell the thing. And
let's start. What was your assignment fee going to be to you when you wholesaled this to a fix and flipper?
This particular deal was the house where the guy got killed in, but he was really killed on the lawn. Mm-hmm. That one for me was hard to sell because it was so public, and it had just happened. Mm-hmm. And like I said, like showing, I'm not going to go in there and clean it, but showing a house where there's, I won't get too graphic, but there's blood and there's everything hits a different way than a dirty house or a hoarder house.
You're like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, so, right.
There was a very small assignment fee if possible, but you were really sitting on it for a long time. You were not able to move it.
Right. It got to the point where I was going to have to buy it. And I didn't really want to buy it.
So you got a buyer to come in.
Right. A buyer to come in, but I got a percentage on the backside.
So he was getting an even larger assignment because he took a percentage instead of $10,000, which is, as a new person, like even as somebody who's not new, that's just a creative way to think of how you can get paid. And you were doing that when the market was just climbing. So you got a really nice payday at the end of this when they fixed it up.
And people that like, I have guys that buy rentals. I'll put like a second on their house for 30 grand. And then they'll just pay me monthly out of their rents if they can't make it work. And I don't care. Just pay me, as long as I get paid I don't care what.
Doesn't matter.
Look at that. I love it. Because you're thinking creatively about how getting it's just same thing we ask sellers, like on installment sales, right? On seller finance, like you can get it all now and we can struggle to make this work, or we can make it work in payments and have it go that way. We just sold a property out in Deer Valley, and that's exactly what we did. We couldn't raise enough down payment for to clear up everything and be paid enough. So we put a second on it. We put a second on the property that would get taken care of by the new owner. Mm-hmm. So that was
is to put a second on someone's personal residence, not the property, not the subject property. I put it on their house, like the one they live in.
Yep. Well, to clarify, this was it became their primary residence. We wholesaled them a sub 2 primary residence, and it was easier for us to just add a second instead of figuring out like getting a bigger down payment from them.
And you get people to coordinate or whatever, but I like to put it on someone's personal house they go home to at night. They don't want to lose.
When you're working with fix and flippers or buy and holders that are going to like partner with you and get you paid. Mm-hmm. That is dude, there's so many nuggets in this freaking episode. Wow. All right. I asked, just so everybody, I do want to be mindful of Jason's time. It is 7:00 where he is. Jason, what is your favorite title company that you like to work with? If there is a good one in the area, do you have a few title companies you work with in the Tampa Bay, Sarasota area?
I work with the one in the Lakewood Ranch called Properties Title, but there's a title company in Venice called CEMO, CEMO. It stands for Semovich, but it's called CEMO Title.
Will they do creative deals?
I'm not sure. Like we've done sub 2s, but novations and stuff, I don't know about that.
Okay.
And I think like I said, I'm going to buy the company, and I told her like, listen, when I buy it,
manifesting,
we have to like get someone in here to teach her to do what we're doing, and that's why she wants me to buy it. She gets it, and she was like, I see what you do for numbers. I know you can afford this place, and I see that I'm feeding her deals all day. And it's everyone that comes around here in wholesales, they go there because it's a wholesaler's title company, and it makes sense. And they're just the best. And I did a house before Christmas. I bought it. I contracted on Wednesday and closed it on Friday. No bullshit.
Wow.
Because you're that close to the title. That's a really fast turnaround. Holy
And
smokes.
that deal, I made 50 grand on because of speed. It was only speed. She needed to close. She needed to get money by Christmas. And I said, if you can wait, because I give people options. Hey, if you want to wait a month, I'll give you 15 grand more. You want to sell it today in the next week or so? It comes with a price. Like everything comes with a price, and it's $1,000 a day for me if you want it sooner. And so she wanted it 15 days early, 15 grand short. And so for me, it was a home run. But there's a guy in Naples that does it, but he does it for like $3 grand to force them through like that in 2 or 3 days.
But you have this title company that you've built a relationship with. You're making sure they're getting fed. You're doing most of your deals through them, I'm assuming, and they wanted to help you out.
Right.
Yeah. That's the power of relationships.
Dude, relationships are everything.
I had a very similar circumstance during Christmas. We were able to close it on December 30th. Not Christmas, but because we wanted to have the bonus depreciation last year.
Right.
So closing before the year out was important to us. So
right. And so I've had sellers go in there and trash the place, go ape shit. Like she deals with all my deals, you know. And there's a lot to it, you know, and there's not many, there's not many title companies that are going to do that.
That's awesome.
So put it this way. The last house I did, it was the day before Christmas. They were going to be closed. She was like, I'll come in and close you. Right. So I walk in, and you know how you need a witness. So we're there. It's me, her, we're waiting for the seller, and a cop comes in. And I said, is he going to be the witness? She goes, no, I just have him. I'm going to put him on your HUD. And I looked, and there was $150 on the HUD because I had a wild seller. And I was like, I'm good with it.
Cop dealt with it. Hey,
that is so freaking cool.
That's awesome too, because your escrow agent, she didn't have to go, like, she didn't tell you I have a wild seller. She's like, I'm gonna handle it myself. Got a cop to deal with. That genius. Yeah, hire her and keep her forever. That sounds like a diamond in the rough. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So she knew it was a crack house. You know what I mean? I told her ahead of time. So she didn't say nothing to me. She put it on the HUD, $150, and that was our witness.
That's awesome. I think I'm just mainly we got how you do everything. I want to remind everybody again, he's dealing with the most motivated sellers.
Mm-hmm.
He's not dealing with, I need to talk to my wife on this. Yeah. I don't know. I need 90 days. I got to find somewhere else to move before I can sell. Jason is dealing with the people that have to sell or else.
Mm-hmm.
So big nugget there. Did you have any other questions for him, Ingrid?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this like real niche. And I think the way that you constructed it for everybody, because people will say, go get a niche list or go get really close. Like, I love how you illustrated how you're narrowing your focus and making it work for you. It's I pulled a lot from that. I love this episode. This is great.
And think about it. There's no meth house list. That's the one list you can't get. You gotta.
Somebody actually asked for.
Where do I pull this list? You can't get that from PropStream or Batch Leads or the county assessors. They don't have it.
Yeah, I'll sell the list cheap.
You know what I was thinking? There might be a list of like highest police calls against an address. Yeah. Maybe there's something like that.
Code enforcement or something like that.
So I think I showed Caroline, but so the worst meth house I got, you guys have a website called nextdoor.com.
Yeah.
In your neighborhood. It's like everyone goes on and complains about their neighbors and cats and dogs and shit. Mm-hmm. That one is where I got the lead. It said police called 93 times in the last 3 months to this house. I door knocked it the next day and got it under contract. Mm-hmm. And it turned into a nightmare, but it paid.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on here. Now I'm going to implore you, you have to check your Instagram at least once a day. Guys, right below us, you can see where to send him deals. Everyday _I'm_h.u.d.stilling, STLING. Every day I'm HUD stilling. And that's a great little joke as investors, because if without a HUD, you're a dud. A HUD is literally just a receipt saying, I bought this. So Jason, let me see your stack. Look, he's going to pull them right now. He's looking at it. I can already tell. He's got a stack of HUDs. This stud has a stack of HUDs.
Yeah, this stud just stood up. He's about to bring the
These
HUD.
are from like the last, I don't know, couple months, but we get them for everyone. And I have
deals.
I have another stack too. And but yeah, it's I don't know, it's awesome. Wholesaling is the best. Like, what better job are you gonna get?
So how can our audience bring you value? What would you like? What do you need?
Just deals. Like, I can close deals on the phone. Like, if you have to have someone close it and you don't want to do it, or you're a newbie, or like, I do the same thing kind of. Like, if I have a lady on the phone, like, my sweet spot is like a 60-year-old lady. They all love me.
Believe that?
I can.
And it's weird because they're all scared at first, and then once they get to know me, they love me, you know. And then, but some people are scared of me, and then that's where my wife comes in. Hey,
He's a closer too?
No, but I bring her along. Like I said, mine are all in person.
Oh, gotcha.
So we the last, or not the last, a couple houses ago, we had a pool house in Northport, and the lady was like 90. I knocked on the door, she wasn't even gonna let me in. You know, and I was like, and stuff like that doesn't bother me. Like, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want my wife to let me in if I wasn't home.
For sure.
And or
look at that hot beard. Yeah.
And so you got to know your strengths and weaknesses and do whatever you got to do to get that contract. And it's like, it's so like everything I told you is, you're like, oh, that makes sense. That wasn't hard.
It's all logical.
You know what I mean? And it's
the other pointer is, Jason, you've gotten a ton of reps in. So everybody, I keep telling everybody about the book you're reading, Outliers. Guys, Jason didn't get to where he is overnight. One of the things I love about Jason too, he comes into the daily dial every day still, even when he's not the closer. Like, he will come in and he'll ask questions and he'll participate. Never stop learning. Surround yourself with people that know more than you and keep getting reps. 10,000 hours. Jason, you have done the work, and it's obviously showing off. It's paying off for you. So I just want to throw that in there. I want to give it back to you. But guys, practice with somebody. Have a buddy. Like, Jason, you don't give your phone number out on YouTube because you will never hear unless you want to. But Jason will give his phone number out on Zooms and take phone calls from people and help them out all the time. Like, Jason is like the real deal.
DM him. That's so awesome. Yeah. What she was talking about Outliers in the book, it said it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert or a master in anything. And so even the people you think are geniuses, right? Like the Bill Gates of the world, even Einstein, if you actually, peel back the onion of how they got there, they all had at least 10,000 hours of dedication to that one thing they were focused on.
Right. I've read that book, but as I always say, any kid can come on the daily dial and get a 30K deal today. Yeah. Like, this isn't like a sport where you got to do it for 10 years to get good at it. That's the difference between wholesaling and something else. Anybody can be a star, anybody. And it's like I said, if I get a 19-year-old kid, I put a 30 grand check in his hand, that kid's going to be an all-star.
Yep.
He's going to be an all-star. If he struggles for 9 months and doesn't get a deal and quits, he didn't make it. He didn't make it to the finish line. And that happens with a lot of things in life. But wholesaling is the shortcut to what you want to do. Like, I don't know what your goals are. Like, so I'm like at the point now, I'm like, am I going to keep wholesaling? Like, what's the big picture? And I'm still trying to figure that out. But for now, I'm still in the trenches, and I'm not complaining. It's
working. And if you love it, if you're something that, revs your hot rod engine, then why not?
And I buy a lot of cars off of people too, because a lot of houses have cars in the garage. And I've never subtoed a car yet. I've tried so many times, and I haven't done it yet.
I got an S10 that we just bought our son. It only had it only had 70,000 miles. We basically we got it for free. So yeah.
Subto it, or was it in the garage?
No, it was sitting in their backyard, and we bought their house to flip. And we're like, what are you going to do with that S10? They're like, oh, we need to get it running. It cost us $1,000 to get it running, or $1,300, I think. And now it's my newly 16-year-old son's truck. So,
right. So a couple of houses ago, I got 2 Harleys that were in the house. And the lady was like, are you going to buy it with the Harleys? And I said, yeah. And she was like, will you buy them for me direct? And I said, no. And she was like, nothing. And I said, I'll give you $500 each. So I bought it for $500. One is pink, which is not my favorite color.
It's going to go in the new Airbnb.
Yeah,
That should be like in the Airbnb. You
Well,
should have it in there all
does it
decked
run?
out in pink. That's a total Instagram like picture taking thing.
right. I just spray paint the whole thing. Why not?
Yeah.
So we've got houses with cars in them all the time, and you can get title. It's pretty easy to get title, stuff like that. And
Cool.
we got rid of hundreds of cars on our properties. But
Yeah.
Jay, I got to say this before we wrap it up here. One of the other reasons why all the neighbors in an area love Jason is because those meth houses, those problem houses, they'll steal. They're kleptos. They'll steal from all of the neighbors. They'll take all the lawnmowers. And Jason took over. You say the story. I'll let you explain it, Jason.
so we had a house, and it was a nightmare. And so, like I said, I went and door knocked everybody, and there was a lot more to it. Like when we took over the house, there was a lot of cops, a lot of guns, and everyone got arrested, and it was like just a nightmare. But so after that, I put a sign on the lawn, my I buy houses sign. Hey, I just bought this house. I'm inviting everybody to come look at it before we flip it. And literally everybody in the neighborhood came. And my son's making hot dogs. I'm talking shit to people. My wife's, talking to people. And but everyone came in and was like, and I told everyone, if there's anything in this house, take it. Like, don't ask, just take it, And there was like 30 grills in the garage. There literally like 100 bicycles in the backyard. And some lady was like, I'm calling the cops. That's my grill. And her name was Bonnie. I'm like, Bonnie, just take 3 of them. You know what I mean? Like, take them. And awesome grills, stainless steel, like you name it. And a bunch of bikes. My kids have 1 million bikes. And the guy behind me literally hugged me. It was kind of awkward. He came over and just like hugged me for 30 seconds. And I'm like, all right, like, all right, little buddy. He was like a little guy, And he was like, I moved here, I think 25 years ago, he said. And he was like, we had kids. And I was always like, these people will get arrested someday. Like the cops are going to arrest them. And he was like, my kids have gone through high school and they're already out of college. And then you come along and you solve the problem. And he was like, every day of my life, I was like, they're going to get arrested. He was like, those people stole every one of my kids' bikes. They stole every weed whacker. They broke in my garage 1 million times and stole beer out of my fridge. They stole all my mail. You know what I mean? Like, this affects the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And everyone would say they would just cut right through their backyard to go wherever. And it's like, so the whole neighborhood was like, they're on board. And this other one we did in Nokomis, like those people, couldn't believe it. Like, it was like, and this one's on the water too. This is on the bay. And so here's kind of a shitty story. So 3 people OD'd and died in a 5-week escrow.
Wow.
3 people, right?
Jeez.
So I'm there and I'm like, okay. So we closed the deal. And like I was saying, closing antics. So this guy at the closing table gets up and runs across 41 and car. Like, so I had to literally take this guy physically. I was like, you're signing no matter what. I'll take your dead hand and sign, And so we got him back. We signed. And then we go to the house and we're all done. And I'm like, you ever feel like you just won a war? You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God. I dropped the guy off and he was like, we're going to cook one last batch of meth. And I'm like, do it 100%. I love it, And so this lady comes up and she goes, who owns the house? And I go, I do. And she goes, you killed my son. And I was like, oh my God. And so one of the kids that died in the backyard, he was 19 years old and it was his mom. And I literally, like, grown man crying, and I had nothing. I was just like, I couldn't even like speak. It was so weird. And that was like when meth houses are no fun, So it's like, and I told Caroline about this. There's a lot of ups, real high highs, and a lot of real low lows. And there's way more to it. I'll tell you off this, but it got like even worse.
Well, you're doing amazing work because this is what communities need. It can be a really tough job, and so I'm glad there's a Jason Lombardi in Venice, and hopefully there's others like you everywhere. And I think that this is where investors really do the good work because they have to go deal with really tough situations and really pull out the potential that lives in every one of these houses.
Right. And that's it. Solve the problem.
And you're not judging anyone. I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Think about the house that was full of all the cat turds and like the people that you're dealing with that have meth addictions. You know, you're solving a problem. You don't mind, and you're seeing them as a human being still. So I think that's really cool. So Jason, thank you so much for coming on here. You did an hour and a half with us. Really appreciate you. Finally got through all the technical difficulties. Guys, if you want to work with Jason Lombardi, message him on Instagram. Go like the pictures. He has 2 pictures on his Instagram. Go like them. Go comment on them. Let him know he should make more content. Maybe he can upload some of his walkthroughs on his Instagram so you guys can see them. Jason, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
All
you.
right, awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Arizona time. Have a good one, everybody. Send us your deals. Actually, before we wrap up, Ingrid, what is the details on your Buckeye house? Because I saw a lot of people asking questions. What? How do they contact you, I guess?
We're selling it for $380,000, $50,000 down payment, which we will definitely negotiate on. I don't know all the details. $2,700 a month, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,863 square feet. We're ready to roll. When you're ready to roll, reach out to me. Yes, move-in ready. Reach out to me on Instagram, INGRYD_Hernandez, just like it says down here. And let me know.
Yeah, guys, if you got any value or if you want us to talk about something else, please message us. Let us know. We will try and reply back to everybody on YouTube. If you have a deal that you want us to buy, shoot it over to us at doihaveadeal@gmail.com. I personally go through the inbox every day. I will reply back to you. doihaveadeal@gmail.com. We will help you out. We'd love to help you get your first deal. If you want to be a partner, if you want to partner on a deal and see how we do everything, we have stuff all the time you guys can join us on. So have a great day. These are our Instagrams. Follow us. We'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.